This is Bobby at Copel TV Repair with a functionality proof and an explanation to a customer who sent to us TNPA5335BK. Our warranty label is underneath here. I'm sorry it will not be seen, but I'm gonna focus on some unique markings here. This is pretty unique, the way the flux is going around this transistor. So the customer received the board back, customer with initials GK, I believe. Yeah, this is GK2. Somewhere on that board there should be GK1 probably, but I'm not seeing it. So the marking should work. Yeah, if it is here, it's either hidden or maybe it's on the back side. Again, for the customer, this is fairly unique marking that you know that we are not showing a different board. So we repaired the board, returned it back, and customer reported the typical horizontal lines, which are always result of this not being plugged properly. I have a number of videos documenting those. And after a few minutes, they said the TV shut off with 7 blinks, and we were afraid that although this is not usually when there is a problem with missing lines, it doesn't affect anything, it doesn't affect that board. In other TVs it is pretty risky to run a combination, and we always require that the buffer boards are sent along with a sustain board. But for Panasonics, usually it's not a problem when the plugs are plugged incorrectly or when a buffer board fails. It does not necessarily or commonly take out the sustain, but in this case, since there were again 7 blinks, we did ask for the 3 boards to go back, and what we found out was that luckily our board was not bad, but the lower buffer board, which very rarely goes bad, and this is the unique marking from the customer, the lower buffer board does have a shortage. Let me do that. Getting the ground, it was shorted probably as a result of those lines. It could be something else, you know, I can't say sure why, but this is the only board that was returned to us that does have a problem. And the problem is, for the last time I hope, fixing that down here. Shortage, it's this IC. I think on this connector there was also a point that is bad. So the lower buffer board has failed. I forgot to show that the upper GK2 and still that sustain board, we haven't changed it. Here's the unique marking with the flux again. Yep, there it is. So with our lower buffer board and the original SC board, no changes after it was returned, and the original top buffer board, there was no lines, there is nothing, as is usual. So once again, even though I have done this many times, let me turn that off. Okay, it stopped turning. This is really tricky to insert all the way in, and the proper way to take out of here will not be to pull, because they're very easy to tear off, as we have done on many of our TVs. This is wrong. One should insert. The best way really is to disconnect the whole buffer, turn it sideways, open all of them, and then gently start pulling upwards, but those have to be straight. To disconnect them this way, usually you would insert something like a small screwdriver up here and gently pull towards you, so that the 2 little, I will do it probably with, yeah, this will do. Hold on. Even though this is already done, the question was how to install them. This is not so tiny. This is from my screwdriver, but it helps pull out without making a specific tear pressure on the connector. So this is out. The best way to put them in my opinion, is again before mounting the buffer. So the buffer should be freely standing, and you start from the top and you open this all the way up, and look this here, and those very tiny ears. Yeah, I have a number of videos talking about that. Look at this very tiny, see, this ear. It's not so tiny, they're tinier in, come on. This little ear here with the right angle has to go behind a plastic pocket in the back, and it has to do on both ways. And this is best and most easily done when the buffer board is freely hanging, and you gotta ensure that on both sides nothing is showing up. Like here on the bottom you can still see some of the copper showing up. This tells me this buffer, and I, since this is one hand, I know I haven't put it all the way in properly. But this is best done not when the buffer is mounted, but when it's freestanding. Now it went in, and now it's up on the top. See, that's why those things happen. Of course I cannot do it well with one hand, but now it is more or less properly done, and it's relatively easy to see up here that it is, you can see the right angle in the white plastic frame of the connector, how it is in there. It doesn't cover it. When it covers it, it's usually easy to see because it's bended and it's overlapping, and this is a well inserted slot. But it's easier if this whole buffer is standing this way and you just start inserting them. It still takes a little while, but it's easier because you can take them and they're kind of more free, and you can take them on both sides and push them evenly on both sides, and only then you lay the connector to go back. So that is all. Best, we will invoice you for another buffer, and you can go get one on eBay. There is a seller there, Nettle75, who is a scammer is not the right word, cheater is the right word. A lot of what they sell, if not all, is listed as new, and I know for a fact that it isn't, for a number of reasons, and many other buyers have complained that they receive stuff that is advertised as new. So they sell reportedly new lower buffer, but nobody has new buffer boards at this point. But this particular seller lists pretty much everything as new, and it isn't. It's just a lie. It's probably working. But that is the best price that I could find out there. It was something like $30. We will have to be selling that at a lower and more common, at a higher and more common price of $50. So if you want to go there, that is fine. It's probably going to be working. Though not necessarily, but it is practically 100% certain that it isn't new as advertised. That is all that I can say on this subject. Best of luck and Happy New Year.